The British had already feared that new electric minis would be produced entirely in China in the future. But now BMW is committed to the traditional Oxford location. Well, actually, the matter had already been decided. In Great Britain, BMW only wanted to build Mini models with combustion engines. And since Mini is expected to become a brand that only produces electric cars, this was seen as a serious blow to the already struggling British car industry. But now there is a departure from these plans. BMW is investing heavily in its Mini factory in Great Britain and will produce 2 new electric models there in the future. After much uncertainty about the future of the British Mini factory in Oxford, parent company BMW has made a decision now. It will invest more than £600 million, that's 700 million euros, in the factories in Oxford and Swindon, and build 2 electric models of the cult car brand Mini there in the future. That's what the Munich car company announced on Monday. With this investment, we will expand the Oxford plant for the production of the new generation of electric Minis and pave the way for the production of purely electric vehicles in the future. That was explained by BMW production director Milan Nedeljkovic. Oxford remains Mini's home, said the brand's director Stefanie Wurst. The 3-door electric coupe and the compact SUV model Aceman are scheduled to roll off the production line in Oxford from 2026. In the medium term, the plant will achieve a production capacity of around 200,000 vehicles per year. The investments will help secure 4,000 jobs in Oxford and Swindon, as government sources said. A 3rd electric model, the Countryman, is produced at the BMW plant in Leipzig. There had previously been concerns in Great Britain that production of the new eMinis would be relocated entirely to China. The decision to use the 110-year-old Oxford factory has now been met with great relief. It is a sign of the future of the ailing auto industry after Brexit and COVID. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak hailed the Munich-based cars company's investments as another shining example of how Britain is the best place to build the cars of the future. However, the government has promised a hefty subsidy. According to media reports, the British state is to give the car company a £75 million grant from a transformation fund for the car industry. So, a gigafactory from Tata, an electric car factory from Stellantis, and now 2 new electric models from Mini. Great Britain, as an automotive location, is moving forward finally. And Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's government is driving the transition to electric mobility with massive state aid and strict regulations for manufacturers. On paper, the plan works. While Mini had recently threatened to relocate almost all of its electric production to China, they have, as I said, now announced that it will produce the new 2 models in Oxford from 26. To this end, they will invest a lot, but if you know that more than 10% of this is paid by the British government, we must not forget this. From 2030, the production volume will be exclusively electric, as BMW said. And Mini, with its taillights and the Union Jack motif, is a British classic, as Prime Minister Sunak emphasized. And Mini was and has always been aware of its history. Oxford is and remains the heart of the brand. But the plant will celebrate its 110th birthday in 2023. But the commitment to the home location definitely has financial reasons. As I said, the British government is investing an estimated £75 million into the renovation. And the billion-dollar gigafactory of the Tata Group, to which the British brand Jaguar Land Rover belongs, is being supported by London with several £100 million. The demand for electric cars in Great Britain is high. The electromobile trend reversal is becoming more and more visible. That was said by the federally owned German foreign trade company Germany Trade and Invest, the GTI, in an unpublished study that is available to the German press agency. Accordingly, demand for fully electric vehicles rose by 38% in the first 7 months of this year, while diesel car registrations fell by 17% year on year. But the increasing number of electric cars on British roads is not just due to increasing demand. The state is also increasing the pressure on manufacturers, primarily through two measures, emphasizes Jitai. From 2030 onwards, the sale of new combustion engines will be banned, and from 2035, no new hybrid vehicles will be allowed to be offered. Prime Minister Sunak recently confirmed that he would stick to the plan, despite calls for relaxation from his own conservative camp. The risk for manufacturers is even more acute with a second planned requirement. From 2024 onwards, they should achieve at least 22% of their sales with electric vehicles. The quota should then be increased annually up to 100% in 2035. Failure to comply will result in high penalties of around 17,000 euros per vehicle. But among the 10 most popular brands from 2022, none have yet reached the target, as Jitai emphasizes. The closest is BMW with a share of 19.5%, followed by Hyundai with 17.9% and Mercedes with 17.7%. Given the rapidly growing demand for electric cars and significantly falling combustion engine registrations, these manufacturers have a good chance of fulfilling the zero-emission vehicle mandate. However, the requirement has not yet been decided, and experts expect that car manufacturers will lobby for more generous regulation. But it's not the only race against time. The tightening of the so-called rules of origin is also putting pressure on the industry. London and Brussels had agreed that from 2024, at least 45% of the value of electric cars must come from the United Kingdom or the EU, so that the vehicles can continue to be exported duty-free. Without their own gigafactories, British manufacturers can only export their electric cars to the EU duty-free if the source of the batteries come from the Union, says the Jitai study. That would put the island at an extreme competitive disadvantage. Because Great Britain is primarily a production location, around 80% of the cars manufactured are exported, the majority to the EU. The German Industry Association VDA is therefore also calling for the current rules of origin to be extended again, but I don't think that this will happen. And if you want to know more, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.